Hi everybody, my name is Barb Steinberg. I am a teen life coach for girls, a parent coach, and a speaker on teen girl issues. Many of you know, if you've been watching my videos, you may have seen the video where I talked a little bit about that my dad died when I was 18, my senior year of high school, on Christmas Eve morning, and the rest of my family had to move 6 weeks later, leaving me in New Jersey to finish high school. When that happened, I remember it as the last thing my mom said to me. It could have been one of the last things she said to me. She said, if you can't keep your legs together, get on birth control. Whoa, that's quite a statement to say, to add to saying goodbye to your daughter. I grew up in a really Catholic family. We went to church every Sunday. I went to some Catholic schools growing up. I went to CCD every Wednesday night. We were the family that delivered the gifts to the altar to the priest. My parents were doing the readings. Like we were good Catholics, let me say that. So I was raised with those values. The only other time that I really heard about sex in any way was in 8th grade. My parents sat my brother and I down, who was 3 years older, and said, it's a sin to have sex before you get married, so don't do it. It's wrong, it's bad. That was the message I received. So I'm sure I got some sex ed, I think, along the way. I can remember in 4th grade seeing a film with sperms and eggs, but other than that, that was my sex education. So needless to say, it was lacking a lot of information. So fast forward, my senior year, my dad dies. My mom says, keep your legs together, get on birth control. I happened to have my very first boyfriend. His name was Jason. It was a serious relationship at that time. And we dated for 6 months. My senior year, we fell in love. It was, a very good, kind, loving, fun relationship. And it was a committed relationship. And over time, I decided to go against what I had been told and have sex with this young man that I was deeply in love with. So of course I knew I needed to keep this a secret, because obviously I knew this would very much disappoint my mom and really upset her, and she would have big feelings about it. And I didn't want to disappoint her. I didn't want to upset her. I didn't want her to think that I was a bad girl and, that I was going to hell or whatever it is that she would believe. I did not want to see any of that. I didn't want to feel any of that. So I knew I'm keeping this a secret. And not to mention, when you get older and you get closer and closer to adulthood and being a grown-up and you're doing things that feel personal and private to you, you want to keep them personal and private. And most adults do that. And I was at that time 18 and close to being seen as a grown-up in the eyes of the world. And so when I look back on that and I think about the internal messages that I was carrying, that was bad, on the one hand, that it was bad, it was wrong, I shouldn't be doing it, it's something to sort of have shame around. Now as an adult, looking back on that young 18-year-old, I personally don't see anything wrong with the choice that I made. We were, as I said, we were deeply in love. We were kind and loving to one another. We were monogamous and loyal. We cared deeply for one another. We dated for 3 years. That's a pretty long time, especially when you're young. And we were careful with our health, using birth control regularly, consistently. So when I look back on that as a mother now to a teenager, I think that this is just my opinion, and everyone has different opinions raising their own children. I think that was actually a healthy, beautiful way for a young person to be introduced and to experience sex for the first time or at all. I also very much understand having values and viewpoints coming from your religion or your culture or your background, that you feel strongly that sex shouldn't happen for people under a certain age or people that are not married. I really get that. I really understand it, and I really respect it. So here's where I'm coming from as a teen life coach and a parent coach. I'm going to bring in a few different pieces from different parents that I have coached to kind of create a scenario rather than talking about one family. So I can think about parents that I've coached over the years when this has happened. They found out that their daughter has had sex and they are worried, they're scared, they're upset, they're confused, and they just don't want it to be true. They don't want her to have sex at whatever age she is, 16, 15, 18, 19. They don't like it. They don't want her to do it. They don't like that they don't have control over it and that she made a point going against their values and what they taught her. It scares them. So I'm talking to all of those parents out there. I'm thinking about, all the parents that found out that their daughter had sex and they found out, via Snapchat or text or photos or images, or they saw that she shared new photos. They caught her sneaking out to visit a boyfriend and didn't even know she had a boyfriend, or caught her sending nude pictures and didn't even know she had a boyfriend, or that it wasn't a boyfriend that she was sending her pictures to. So all of these experiences can be alarming for parents. It can be really kind of, knock them to their knees when they don't expect it and they're shocked by it and they're hurt by it. And that might be you. You might have felt this way, or maybe you're feeling this way right now. So let me just talk to you a little bit about how to go about these feelings that you may be having and the situation that you may be finding yourself in, or maybe you will find yourself in. So what I've shared with some of these parents, and I can picture their faces in all of the sessions that we've had, where, I can picture the disappointment and the what's the word? They're very unhappy with the choice that their daughter has made. So I'm very aware that that's the face that their daughters are seeing. That's the tone of voice that their daughters are seeing. The daughters are seeing and feeling, you're unhappy with me. You don't like my choices. And often they link it to, you don't like me. You don't love me because I'm not who you thought I was. I don't share the same values. I don't make the choices you want me to make. And that disappointment leads to a fear of not receiving love, of being rejected by your parents. I can think about parents saying to their daughters, you shouldn't be having sex. This is wrong. This is bad. You need to stop it. I told you not to do this. Bad things can happen. And that the looks on their faces, the disappointment, the upset, the anger, the unhappiness, that can really grow shame in our daughters, feeling shame for the choices that they made. I know I felt like that sometimes as a teenager based on my choices. And it can be confusing and upsetting to teen girls as well, because in my case, and in many cases of teen girls that I coach, they don't feel remorseful or unhappy or regretful of their choice. Often they feel quite the opposite. And the only kind of sticking point and negative point is that their parents don't agree with the choice, and that their parents are wanting them to feel shame and rejection and the unhappiness and disappointment so that they'll stop doing what they're doing, so that they will stop having sex or stop sending new pictures or stop sneaking out to see their boyfriend. So as parents, we want, in this case, we're talking about teen girls, often parents we will want them to make the choices we want them to make so that we can feel better, so that we don't have to feel fear and worry and upset. So there are real fears involved. What if she gets pregnant? What if she doesn't graduate high school because of that? What if she gets a sexually transmitted disease that can cause permanent damage? What if she gets her heart broken? What if he takes advantage of her? There are a lot of real fears that I certainly don't want to negate. And there are a lot of fears in every walk of life, in everything that we do. It's fearful to let her drive a car because she could get in an accident. She could die in a car accident. But we don't tell her, I'm sorry, you can never drive a car again. That's a little different because it's not connected to our culture or our values, I understand. When I talk to these parents about their daughters having sex and them being so disappointed and upset and unhappy by it, it comes down to what kind of relationship they want to have with their daughter. So they can continue down the path of, you are wrong, you are bad for what you did, and you should never do it again, which creates shame in her, a feeling of rejection, a feeling of being unwanted, unloved, not good enough, which she will then take forward into her life, and she will continue that voice inside of her head. I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. Or we can grow as parents and say, this isn't necessarily the choice that I would have wanted for you. If I could have been in charge, I wouldn't have picked this choice for you. You know that already. But you chose to make a different choice. And now my job as your parent is to love you through it, is to have your back and support you through it. Because introducing sex into your life is a big deal. There are good parts about it. It brings connection and intimacy and love and joy and pleasure. And it also opens you up to potential negative things that can happen, you know? So that's a whole nother conversation about talking to your daughter about boundaries and consent and her own pleasure and making choices that feel right for her in the moment rather than making a choice for someone else. Whole other conversation. So when I talk to these parents, it's about how can you maintain and grow your level of intimacy and connection and love and acceptance in your relationship with your daughter when she has made a choice that is not what you would make for her, when it feels like she's going against your values. So she needs to hear, yeah, that's not the choice I wanted you to make, but you made a different choice. And my job is to love you anyway. There's nothing that you can do that would make me love you any less, even when I feel disappointed. And my disappointment is for me to handle, and I will work through it. It's not for you to change your behavior and contort what you do in your life and become someone I want you to become so that I can feel at peace. She needs to hear these words so that she can really understand and separate and individuate from you in a healthy, loving way. To know that I can make a choice that my mom or dad or caregiver does not agree with, and they support me. So what does support look like? They still smile at me. They still tell me that they love me. They still hug me. They still point out all the ways that I'm doing great in my life and all the things about me that they love and admire and respect. I still feel supported, even though I've done something that they wish that I didn't do. That is what she needs to hear. That is what she needs to feel, because that will not only maintain your relationship, it will grow it. It will deepen it. It will make it richer. And it will also provide the opportunity, because she will now know, if I get into a bind, let's say something does happen sexually that doesn't feel right to her, doesn't feel good. Because of the relationship and the foundation you've created, she will hopefully, probably come to you and let you know, something's happened. I need your help. And that's what we want. If she feels shamed and rejected, the likelihood of you having that in your relationship, I think, is very, very minimal. And I don't think that you want that. I'm asking you to stretch. This is a big stretch, because I can picture the moms' faces in particular, and some dads, when I'm saying something like this to them, and they're looking at me almost angry, like, you're asking me to make it okay. You're asking me to tell her that she has my consent, and she doesn't. I get that too. I really get it. And that's the struggle, is to be able to say, this isn't something that I would choose for you, and it isn't my choice to make. It's your body and it's your life. Do I wish that you would have waited longer? Yeah. Do I wish that you were married? Yes. But you made a different choice. So now my job is to grow as a parent and to deal with my feelings and to love you anyway. She doesn't need your consent, right? Because she already had sex without your consent, without your, agreeing that it was a good decision. So now you get to decide, am I going to pivot with my daughter or against her? Am I going to be her ally or her enemy? You get to choose. And I know that this is hard. I know it. My teenager has made choices that have scared me and that I've not agreed with. And I believe that our relationship is such a strong one and so amazing. And I watch this in my coaching practice every day as I offer this love, unconditional love to the girls that I coach. I see the beauty and the magic that can develop in your relationship because of it. And I think that's what you want, even when you're scared. I hope that this has given you food for thought. Please reach out to me for a parent coaching session if you want to dive deeper into this and talk more about it, about your daughter and your specific situation. Check out my website. There's lots of free resources, blogs, YouTube videos, online courses for parents of teen girls to help walk you through raising her and having the relationship that you want with her and the day-to-day experiences you want with her. This is supposed to be joyful. This is supposed to be connecting and fun. I want you to have that. So I hope this has helped. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.